1 Corinthians 13, 4-8 says, "Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely. Love does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails." Welcome to our program, Love Speaks. Love suffers long. Marriage was meant to be happy and enduring. The Bible contains marriage advice on how to make married life pleasant and smooth, making the home like a little heaven on earth. It prescribes love as an excellent way. Most couples have love in their hearts for their spouses, but they may not express that love or they show it incorrectly. This program aims to provide some ideas on how love can improve the marriage relationship. 1 Corinthians 13:4, first part, says that love suffers long. Other versions describe love as patient. Patience involves a trial to be endured, a suffering to undergo. When things go smoothly, schedules are followed strictly, and meals are served promptly, there is no need for patience. But when people are made to wait, when delays occur, things like this happen. Unhappily, many situations in the home call for the need of this virtue. A dictionary definition states that patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. Notice the words, without getting angry or upset. The wait may take long, but the loving spouse does not complain or get upset. So we see from our experiences that kindness affects our partners in a very positive way. Kindness makes the other person feel cared for, understood, and loved. Kindness begets kindness. Imagine what our homes would be like when everyone was kind to one another. The Bible says, "Be ye kind one to another." It is another way of saying, love one another. To be kind is to love. To love is to be kind, for love is kind. As you practice kindness in your married life, you will find the love of God filling your life and happiness filling your heart. Life becomes beautiful and the burdens bearable. Welcome and thank you for joining us again today. It is a pleasure to spend this time with you. I'd like you to meet Dr. Virginia Smith, our special guest. Her life is a demonstration that God has a plan for our lives. She sacrificed the early part of her life to take care of her children, to help her husband, and it was only later that she pursued the dreams of her life. God is amazing. He says, "I know the plans that I have for you," and He fulfills those plans. You know, when we look at our lives and compare our plans with God's plans, don't we see, Virginia, that God's plans are far better than ours?
Oh, way beyond. His plans for me were different from anything I'd ever dreamed. So it was exciting to see him work.
That's awesome. It's awesome, yeah. Well, today we're talking about patience. I'm surprised why in the book where, 1 Corinthians 13, that talks about the characteristics of love, 1 Corinthians 13, and starting with verse 4, where it gives the characteristics of love, it starts with love suffers long. In other words, love is patient. Why would it start with patience? Could have started with some other virtue. Do you think there's a reason for this section to start with patience?
I'm not quite sure why Paul wrote it that way, but all of those many different things that it mentions are all characteristics of God.
Yes.
And when you think about what God has to put up with all of us, he's had a lot of patience. So maybe that's his chief characteristic because it's so widely seen. I don't know.
And don't you think it is one important characteristic that should be found in a couple?
Oh, absolutely. There again, it's a positive, it's an upbeat characteristic. When you're patient with somebody, they don't fight back against you. If you're impatient, they do, and then things just kind of escalate into chaos. So some of the other things we've talked about, to be positive, to be optimistic, to be patient, that all leads to peace and release, and a lot of positive effects.
Can we think of some circumstances, some events, or whatever in a marriage that would call for patience? I think, for example, I know a friend of mine who loves to shop, but the husband didn't love shopping. I think he would need a lot of patience to deal with that situation.
Well, I can tell you a very close to home example. My husband comes from a family that was always on time. Not just on time, but early.
Wow.
And I come from a family that was always late.
Good combination.
So another one of those things you just don't pay attention to before you get married. So my husband needed lots and lots and lots of patience with me. Right till now, it's always, why can't we always be on time? So
he never scolded you for
he's very nice. He's been very patient.
Wow.
And I have improved over time. But it was going against my DNA.
Well, I didn't really love shopping, but, we had to, shop for food and all of that. My husband didn't like shopping at all. So, like I said, I needed a pair of shoes, so I said, I need some shoes. He says, okay. He will take me to the shoe shop, and he will say, okay, how much time do you need? Maybe 1 hour. Okay, I'll come back for you in an hour. Okay. And he will go and do something else. Then in that case, he didn't have to get worked up because I was taking time, but he still got me to do what I wanted to do. And I think there were many instances in our married life when he really needed to be patient. And I'm so thankful that he was a patient person, a very patient person. Or I don't know what would have happened to me.
Anyone who marries a man who is a real Christian and shows Christian attributes is a very, very fortunate woman.
And didn't we say one time that we were both spoiled?
Absolutely. Not just by God, but by our husbands as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's take a common example of an instance where a couple will need patience. Okay, the wife has stayed home. She has prepared the meal. She's waiting for her husband to arrive, and he comes home quite late. When he finally arrives, she says, finally, I've been waiting. I've cooked the food. It has become cold. What kept you so long? Well, the husband can't say very much. And
that would immediately make him feel negative about it, so he would probably react in a negative way.
And say something that wasn't nice either. Yes. We also see in that scenario that the wife was thinking only of herself, the trouble that she went through, the inconvenience, and all of that. She wasn't thinking at all about her husband and his needs.
And there may have been very good reasons why he was late.
Yes. She didn't even ask, just concluded that he wasn't being responsible. When a husband comes to a home like that, do you think he would feel welcomed or feel that he is loved, that his wife has been waiting, wanting him and all of that?
Probably he would feel like he had to fight back.
Defend himself.
And so everything would just escalate into an argument and
Yeah.
negative feelings on both sides.
Right. In that scenario, do you detect any sign of patience? Any signs of love?
Well,
I don't think so.
let's redo the story and tell it with patience.
Okay, now here she is. She's been waiting, and finally he comes. And he comes through the door, and she says, "Oh, welcome, darling. I've been waiting for you. I've worried about you, and I hope that everything is okay." And he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, dear. I couldn't help it." And then she says, "Okay, why don't you rest a while or get ready? I'll heat the food, and then we can come and eat."
Good. Sounds much better. That's going to just bring positive feelings.
It shows a lot of love, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. He apologizes and she accepts it. That means they show concern for each other. She's not thinking of herself, the inconvenience that she went through, but she's thinking about him, worried about him, wondering why he is late. I think a husband who comes home to a wife that treats him that way will love to come home each day.
That's right. You know, when they talk about entertainment, people go where there's entertainment, but they stay where there's love. And so we can apply that to the family as well. If there's something interesting going on some way where people may want to go there, but they're not going to be as happy spending time there as they are coming home when there's love there.
Wow, love. What a wonderful chapter in Corinthians we are looking at. Love is patient, love is kind, love is all of this. And I'm thankful to Paul for listing all of this, because then we know how we can demonstrate love, because love is such a powerful feeling. What are some of the other, can you think of some other occasions that would call for patience?
Well, I'm from a family of 8 children, so there was a mob of us. And when it was time to get ready for church, Some people would get ready and some people would not. This is why my family was always late. But I don't remember my parents yelling at us. It seemed like people were pretty nice. I've heard of other families where they'd all be yelling at each other and then they go to church and they smile nicely for everybody else.
Yeah.
So a lot of patience is needed in working with everybody in the family to get to the places where we need to get, to do the things that we need to do. Mm-hmm. My mother was very patient with us, even though none of the 8 of us was real good help. She would give us all jobs to do, but she freely forgave us when we either didn't do them right or didn't get them done on time.
Oh, wow.
So I had remarkable parents.
And that taught you how to be patient.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, what a blessing! What a blessing! I forgot what I was going to say. Okay, so between a couple, there are many differences. Okay. Coming up from different backgrounds, liking different things. So there's this adjustment that has to be done. And that calls for a lot of patience. The way that God is patient with us, we make so many mistakes. And not only do we make many mistakes, we make the same mistake over and over. And how does God deal with us with that? He gives us the chance to change, and still we don't change, but still He's constantly waiting. Why? Because God is a God of love. And in a marriage where the husband and wife love each other, patience features very strongly.
I think that patience is related to forgiveness.
Yes, definitely.
And, Peter said, well, I forgive 7 times. Because apparently the Pharisees said you had to be willing to forgive 3 times the same mistake. Peter said, well, I forgive 7 times. Well, 7's a perfect number. Surely that was a perfect answer. Jesus said, no, forgive 70 times 7 times. That's 490 times.
That's
who can keep track of that?
1, 2, 3, 4. No.
So that shows again what God is like, but also when we want to reflect the character of God, that shows what we will be willing to do. Just endless patience with people.
Yes. And naturally, we all have bad habits.
Sure.
And they're very hard to change, to correct. And wow, that needs a lot of patience, a lot of love, yes. So as we deal with each other in the home, let's try to remember that we need to have patience. And the only way that we can be patient is for us to have love in our hearts.
And that love is a gift from God.
That's true.
We don't generate it on our own. But as we build our relationship with Christ, He makes us more and more like Him. By beholding, we become changed.
Yes. And by beholding, we become changed. It's a process.
Yes.
It doesn't happen overnight.
No. It happens over a lifetime.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes we want to change our partner, which we really shouldn't do. Okay?
Hopefully we won't.
Right.
But many people have that temptation.
Yeah, in that case, what we need to change is ourselves rather than our partner. Yes, because even a person, even if he wants to change, he cannot even change himself.
No. Can a leopard change his spots?
No. So then we need to be patient. Any other thoughts?
Not so far. I hope you edit that out.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can both be thankful that our husbands were patient.
Oh,
with us.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because
And
not only because of our own characteristics, but because we are women. You know, women have certain ways that can really try the patience of a husband.
and vice versa.
Pardon?
And vice versa.
You're right. Yes.
But
Okay.
I think it's really important for us to teach our children to be patient, because I think children are kind of born impatient many times. And I remember a little nephew that learned to say over and over again, patience means wait.
Which is the most concise and exact definition of patience.
Yes. So when there's things that children want, or any of us want, when I wanted to have a career, I had to wait. I had to be patient for God's timing. And so I think we can teach our children, be patient and wait for God's timing, because He has plans for you, and He's going to guide you into those plans.
Yes, not only do we teach them by telling them, by helping them, but they can see in their parents
Yes.
whether the parents are patient
right.
or not. And somehow that instills in them this maybe wanting or appreciating the virtue of patience.
It makes a great difference, because children will do what they see happening. They will imitate us.
That's right.
Unconsciously.
Sometimes I talk with my children and ask them, you know, and I'm surprised that they keep referring to what we did in the home.
Sure.
Yes. Most particularly, we need to be patient because we're waiting for the Lord to come. And He's seemingly delaying for some reason or another. Oh, how many times I pray, Lord Jesus, please come soon. I want to be reunited with my loved ones, and He isn't coming. All He says is, watch, be patient. So,
And I'm so thankful that He waited long enough for me to be involved. And I'm so thankful that He waits long enough for other people to be involved. He's not willing that any should perish.
Right. And we don't understand it. We're thinking only of what we want, but God sees the whole picture. Oh, I was talking with my friend Esther this morning, and she told me, she says, you know, when we start praying, asking God to help us to be patient, you know what happens? He lets many things happen
That gives us practice.
in order for us to be able to practice and to learn being patient. And I thought that was a good thing to think about, because then when we undergo difficulties, different problems, maybe that is God teaching us to be patient. And all the things that happen in the home, you know, are ways for the husband and wife to learn how to be patient.
Doesn't the Bible say that Moses was the most patient man?
Oh yes,
Or he was the meekest man?
the meekest man.
But look at all he had to put up with as he led the people out of Egypt. And God has had to have that same kind of patience with us, leading us along.
May God help us to develop this virtue, because it is one way, having this virtue is one way to have happy marriages.
Amen.
Thank you, Virginia. That was very interesting, you know, to find out these things about patience. And I hope that all of us will develop patience.
Yes. you.